Lions just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement podcast. My name is Adam, and you all know my co-host, Jordan, Little Big Man Lyons. How you doing, Jordan?
Little Big Man. I'm doing good. How are you? Are you a little less crotchety than 30 seconds ago?
I'm doing really well, Jordan, and I'm going to be on my best behavior this episode. No, I'm fine.
I want to hear smiles through the audio. You know, I can't see your face, but I want to hear it.
I am grinning from ear to ear. What have I not got to be happy about, Jordan? We've had
That's what I'm wondering.
A great week for downloads. We got a fantastic episode. It's July. We're both healthy, so we just.
I like that last part. It's July. That makes
July.
you happy.
It's a good month. It's summer, man. So why shouldn't I be happy? No, we just started talking about basketball players, and I was telling you how I don't find very many basketball players to be likable right now. I'm just kind of fed up with prima donna athletes, and then you kind of started just defending everyone.
All of them, a blanket defense,
as you're apt to do, and I just got a little disgusted. But we're not here to talk about basketball, and we're certainly not here to talk about off-air beef. We're here to talk about home improvement. So we've also been thinking about expanding our brand, Jordan.
Yeah, we've it's been over a year since we started recording, and we've put out some surveys, which upwards of 9 people have responded to.
Mm-hmm. One of them me.
One of them you. Are you the one who put poop in there?
Maybe it was me, maybe it wasn't me. I was just concerned at the time that no one was going to fill out the survey, and you'd worked so hard on it that I thought, I didn't want to break your little heart. So
yeah,
your little big heart. Sorry.
That marketing degree I spent thousands of dollars to get really came in when I wanted to make that survey. So we did the survey. We've been thinking about some social media advertising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, 2017 is all about branded content. What's your brand? How can you further your brand? Basically those are the main two things that come to mind when I think of brand. So, I've been thinking mainly this morning about maybe some business cards. When am I going to, I don't know when I'm going to hand them out.
Everywhere, all the time.
Yeah, just constantly handing them out. I feel like business cards are kind of a lost art.
It's true, and we can maybe print up some flyers and go to like local Walmarts and put them in the windshield wipers of cars that are parked there.
I noticed you say Walmart. What is there some kind of a relationship between home improvement listeners and Walmart that?
No, I just happened to be at a Walmart the other day, and that happened to me. So I figured it still works for some people. So we might as well.
That you were at a Walmart in general. Now,
you're telling me.
Why do you think business cards are not as popular as they were? I'm sure the answer is the internet, because I feel like that's always the answer to any, like, why is blank not as popular as it was? Because of the internet. But I wonder, why do you think that is? When's the last time someone gave you a business card?
Gave me a business card. I printed up some for my dad, so I gave myself a business card then just to have a copy of it.
They say the best business card is the one you give yourself.
That's right. I can't honestly remember the last time I got a business card. It's been years. It probably was when I worked in Michigan at TechSmith, so that would have been like 3 or 4 years ago at least.
Wow.
Because I went to trade shows and stuff for TechSmith, so I'd get some every once in a while when I'm networking with the folks there. But it's people have cell phones everywhere, and they can just put your contact information right there, or go to your website or whatever. So it's just not as needed. But hey, there's still need for them sometimes. Yeah, I just can't think of when those times are.
I'm going to print some up. So just know that if you donate to the show, your money is going towards useful things like business cards. So what are we covering this week, Jordan?
We are covering episode 54, Arrivederci, Binford.
Arrivederci! I keep thinking of Brad Pitt in Glorious Bastards, and I think you have seen Glorious Bastards. I think that's come up before, where he's trying to pretend he's an Italian guy. He's Arrivederci. Kind of a George Bush version that keeps coming to mind. But
yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe I should have said it that way. But Yeah, this one was written by Elliot Schoenman.
Gotta be a first timer there. I don't recognize that name.
You know what? It says it's his second when I looked it up. So either I don't remember saying that before either. Maybe I just flubbed the episode details before, but it sounds like the first episode he did was I'll See You in My Dreams, or I'll See You in My Dreams.
Oh, really?
So very recent. He's a season 3 edition, I believe. Okay. But we'll see him a lot in the future based on what I saw. This episode aired October 13th in 1993, and the title reference is a 1957 film called Seven Hills of Rome, where there was a very popular song. I know it was popular for you, one of your favorites, that was Arrivederci Roma.
Okay.
So,
see, I was
one of the more obscure title references.
See, I kind of actually don't buy that. As
you just thought that was fit.
I think that's just like a coincidence. I don't think that like the writers of Home Improvement are referencing this obscure 1950s
It seems like
film.
a reach.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it's like one thing when you're talking about like Mo Better Blues being a reference to Mo Better Blue. Like that's an obvious allusion, but I feel like this is just a coincidence. But I could be wrong.
They kind of panicked and just wrote down
they're
something.
like, we gotta have some.
You're Italian. What's goodbye in Italian?
Yeah,
and
I think a better one would be the episode's title references the Italian language. I think that would probably be more accurate, but whatever.
All right, let's get into our alternative titles. What do you think?
Yeah, okay, so Arrivederci Binford is the name of the episode. I have 4. How many do you have?
I got 3, so you get to go first.
Okay, I had a tough time with this. I felt like it should have been easy, but it wasn't, and I feel like I say that every week, so.
Yeah, well.
All right, first one is Death of a Toolsman.
Oh, okay. Well, mine is Death at a Tool Show.
Okay, similar. All right.
So Death at a Funeral? That's where
mine was Death of a Salesman.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Both of them.
Yeah. Okay. Big boys do cry.
Aww.
Like big girls don't cry.
Big boys do cry.
Big boys.
All right, this one's just a line plucked from the episode that I thought encapsulated it pretty well. Next stop, Tool Heaven.
That was a line. That was indeed a line. All right, my last 2 are probably my worst 2. Bad morning. Like,
I got the morning
like
part.
Good morning, bad morning.
I mean, it could be worse.
Tim cannot mourn well, according to everyone in the episode, apparently.
and himself.
Yeah.
All right, this one is, shout out to Charlie Brown. Good grief, Tim Taylor.
That's good. That is actually really good. My last one, Binford buys the farm.
All right.
Yeah.
You say that was bad. I think it was all right.
All right. Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, plot synopsis.
Tony
DiPullo has been missing since the end of season 2, and
what if that's where it ends?
It could be. I don't know. I feel bittersweet about it because it's a lot easier for me to read 2 sentences. But also, Tony, he just littered his posts with grammatical errors that really just brought a little bit of joy.
She really did do that, Jordan.
Oh.
She did that. Well, if you want to know if Tony DiPullo comes back, stay tuned for the next 3 years, and we'll be sure and
we'll
let you
find
know.
out.
Yep.
All right, so this one, though, is written by Bernie. Bernie's been filling in the clutch. So, Mr. Binford of Binford Tools dies. There is sadness for all except for Tim. He does not know how to cry, but learns how to show grief.
You blame Tony for your tough readings, but, I think you struggle through it kind of regardless. But
I don't know. We'll see.
Let's get into the episode, Jordan. We open with Tim watching boxing on the couch.
At first I thought it was football until he kept going.
I thought it was baseball because he says, nice hit. I'm going to tell you something. Nobody watches boxing and says nice hit.
Nope. I've never heard it.
Although that's not terminology.
How many boxing matches have you watched in your lifetime? 3?
Okay, so I've watched all of the Rocky movies a bunch of times. Like
I'm talking about real bouts.
Really, I've only watched movie boxing. Actual boxing matches, I've seen like Muhammad Ali things on ESPN Classic when I was younger, but probably not a whole boxing match ever. But I can guarantee you, I know enough about it to say that no one has ever watched boxing and said, nice hit.
Nice hit, yeah. I think I've watched maybe 2. I'm thinking of, wasn't there like a Flint boxer, last name Bird maybe, or something like that?
Yeah, Chris Bird?
Chris Bird, yeah. I think I watched one of his matches once, just, because he's from our area. But, and maybe another one when I was younger. But yeah, it's just, Boxing isn't what it used to be, so they say.
I wouldn't know. Well, actually, I don't know. I kind of feel like it is. And this is not an interesting aside. No, we're not going down that rabbit hole. It's not interesting. So Tim's watching boxing. The logo pops up. You see the logo, Jordan?
Yeah, he's like a little cat perched on the couch, and he falls over.
I loved it. I got a couple cats here. The logo's acting like a cat. I'm thinking, wow, going to be a good episode. Jill's on the phone, and she has a problem. She keeps repeating herself, and does she keep saying, do you want to know what my problem is? Is that what she says?
Yes. Yeah.
She says it like 4 times, and Tim eventually says, your problem is that you repeat yourself. She comes over to the couch and puts the boxing match on mute, and then they talk about a cute blonde with big eyes.
Marilyn Sanders, that's who.
Yes, the Colonel's daughter. And then Jill does the thing that she often does where she complains about how busy she is. She has a library fundraiser, she has a job, and you know what, Jordan? She's raising 3 kids. And Tim says
I thought Marie was supposed to help with this library fundraiser.
Yeah, why? This is out of order because the library fundraiser was brought up last week, and now she's like acting like she's just hearing about it this week.
Maybe she's starting to really feel the pressure as she digs into it this week.
Maybe, maybe not. We're not going to find out either way. Tim says that she should use her husband as an excuse. She should say that he has like mental issues or something of that capacity. Or
yeah, he has a mental problem.
Mental problem, and then that's the opening. It has no effect.
Well, she says, "Where's the lie?"
Yeah,
she says,
it's not. Yeah, fine. But like this scene has no effect on the rest of the episode. It doesn't play it at all.
No, nope.
It has.
We don't hear one more ounce of the library fundraiser.
No,
well, I guess we do with the envelopes.
Yeah, they could have set up those envelopes in a million other ways. But
they could have talked about business cards. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to spend a little bit more time talking about business cards. All right,
so move on. Let's move on.
Take the next scene.
All right, next scene is on Tool Time, and they're talking about squeegees, and this seems also like another, I don't know, like a filler scene almost, but Al's, there's all the makings of a classic Tool Time scene. There's Al's mother jokes, and in just a little bit, we're going to see the K&B boys, and...
Sort of.
Kind of. But before we get there, I had a question. They run from this like squeegee area over to like the main workbench or whatever. Why do they keep running? We know at this point that the show is not live.
Okay. I think it's supposed to be funny for the audience. I think it's just like a bit. I was thinking the same thing, and that's the only possible.
It's the only reasonable explanation.
It's just like it's funny for the people there. It's not that funny, but that's really all I got.
Yeah, when you're the TV's 4th rated cable tool show, you got to do everything to keep the audience interested.
I'll say.
And so they do that here, and then they're going to go on to talk about being sweaty and grimy and gross after working hard on a job. And you know who knows about this? You know who's sweaty, grimy, and gross? It's the K&B boys.
It's those boys up from Bay City.
So they bring them out, although there's one missing, and we have a replacement.
Yeah, we do. Gus is replacing Rock.
Where's Rock?
That's a fair question. I don't know. And I don't know. I can tell you that Gus is only in this episode, so it didn't necessarily work out. And I'll do a bio for Gus right now. Gus is played by William Allen Young. He has 90 credits to his name. Most recently, he appeared in the television show Code Black. He was on 127 episodes of Moesha, one of your favorites, Jordan.
Oh my gosh, I love Moesha.
The film District 9, and again, as I mentioned, he's only in one episode of Home Improvement, so I don't know. I didn't look and see if Rock comes back, but I can't imagine this being it for the K&B boys, so something's got to give.
Absolutely. What happened to... now I'm just wondering what happened to Brandy since you brought up Moesha.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, Brandy was really hot for a while. I mean... Didn't Kobe Bryant take Brandy to prom? I'm pretty sure. That
is NBA news that I don't know.
See, Jordan, yeah, you think I have an appreciation for old NBA, just not new NBA. I'm pretty sure he did.
Boy, I've learned that today.
Moesha.
Okay, so back to the scene. They're going to talk about some grooming tips here, and they've all got something to share, all the things that they do on the work site. So the first one is a dirty boot. So dirty boot meet boot buffer, which is a drill with a sock that is wrapped around a screwdriver. And I don't know if you watched when they actually turned this on to use it on the dirty boot. It doesn't do anything.
I did not watch.
It doesn't clean any of the dirt off. So it doesn't seem very effective, but nonetheless, they present it well.
This is why Gus never comes back. He blew it.
Yeah, this right here. He blew his only chance. They let him open and he blew it.
Yeah.
So then Dwayne steps up to the plate. He says, my nails get a little dirty. So he uses a small nail to do that. One thing I do like about this scene is that we learn a little bit about Dwayne's hobbies, which are going to the discos and attending Vegas night at the Kiwanis Club.
Vegas night at the Kiwanis.
I do like that.
This clean nails bit was disgusting, and I'm really glad they didn't zoom in on that because I think dirty fingernails, and I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking this. I think that is just like one of the most disgusting things in the world. Even hearing him talk about it kind of made me sick.
A little bit, yeah. I'm glad they didn't zoom in, like you said. And then to bring up the rear, we've got Pete, and he's going to show us how to deal with helmet hair. So they bring out an air compressor, and they blow his hair around. And
it's funny. This was the best one of the three.
It just kind of covers his face everywhere.
It's a good visual gag, especially in comparison to the first two. This one is pretty funny, yeah.
Yeah, so they saved the best for last there, and that's really kind of the end of this episode of Tool Time.
Well, Tim, what does Pete use for the helmet hair? Like, what is the?
It's an air compressor.
Yeah, well, Tim shoves the air compressor up Al's ass at the end. So
yeah, because they're going to talk about electrical wiring.
That's what he does, right? Isn't that?
I don't.
The implication.
Either that or he just blew air up his something.
Well, that was my reading of it. So
either way,
yeah. Tool Time ends, and
Al sticks around.
Yeah, Tim and the K&B boys ish. Like I'm not calling them the real K&B boys because this is a betrayal to Rock.
Rock, they're not.
Yeah, it's not right. They kind of storm off the set, and then the show is over. Al sticks around, and then Lisa. She kind of just quickly comes out.
You mean Heidi?
Oh, man, I wrote Lisa even. That's... Yeah, Heidi. You're right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Heidi comes out and she tells Al that John Binford has died.
Ooh, he died of a heart attack.
I have a lot of things to say about this in general. And I don't know if I should save them for now or later, but I guess I'll just say them now. So the problem with this whole John Binford thing is like... They are treating him like, one, he's like a beloved cast member. Two, like he's a cast member we knew anything about. Three, like he's supposed to be like this good guy. What we know about John Binford is like he's in like one episode where... Briefly, where he forces Tim to... It's the camping episode, right? So
yeah, he forces him to like skip a family vacation to do some sort of... tool thing.
Yeah,
I forget exactly what it was.
And he's like rude to Al, kind of. He doesn't really like Al, and that's clear. And then really the only other bit of information we know about him is that he left the show to marry some hot young Tool model, and then Mo's in charge. So like this whole episode, they're like, John Binford was a great man. John Binford was the best man I ever knew. John Binford did this and this and this. And it's like, we never saw that or heard about any of that. So.
This must be a different John Binford.
I mean, it's just so strange,
There's
right?
no credibility. There's no credibility in this plot at all.
And like the whole thing, they never once mentioned Mo, like Mo Binford, not once. It's like, so she just was running the show and then disappeared, and then he came back and we never heard about it. I don't know. It's
very strange.
It's very strange and like kind of half baked. I would say.
I will say also that like Heidi's delivery of this news is very poor.
Yeah, you wanted her to get more lines, and this is what happens when she gets it.
Yeah, she does, and I don't think she does a very good job. She just kind of delivers it like very half-heartedly. There's not much to it. I don't know. It's just not great.
How would you have done it, Jordan? Can you give me an example?
I would have, since my nickname is CB, I think I would have been crying.
All right. Yeah, probably. I was thinking maybe we could role play, but that's all right. Big Mike's Tavern. I guess the scene does end with Al telling Tim that John Binford has passed away, and then some very cheesy music plays.
Mood music.
No, that's
and
rock.
then they're going to present, like you said, they're going to present Mr. Binford in a very different way.
Yeah,
so we'll see that throughout the episode.
It does not work. Big Mike's Tavern. So they had a choice between the nice, fancy Italian place or Big Mike's. They chose Big Mike's.
Well, the Italian place is now, we already talked about this, it's now that, like, meat chuck house.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So Al and Tim are hanging out at Big Mike's. Al wants to talk about the death, but Tim
Sure does.
refuses to grieve. We've seen this before. He doesn't want to think about death. He has a tough time with death, and this episode presents that again. So Al mentions that he feels particularly bad because he had asked Binford for a hot water spigot on the water cooler, and Binford said it wasn't necessary, and Al was curt to him the next day. Tim,
And that was their last interaction.
That was their last interaction, and it's tough for Al to swallow that pill. Tim kind of pokes fun at Al for this. He tries to make jokes. Al thinks that the levity is kind of inappropriate, and he just sort of balls at the table. And Tim is very kind of just like put off by the whole thing.
Yeah, Tim's definitely in denial here. He says, "I'm not going through anything," because Al is certain that Tim has to be going through something. He knows. We don't know, but he knows how much that Mr. Binford meant to Tim.
Everybody keeps telling me how much Mr. Binford meant to Tim. It's just that I've watched 53 episodes of this show, 54 now, and I don't know that, and I never saw it. So
yeah. So and then there is a line where, I don't know, I guess like the anger of the moment, you see the grieving, part of the grieving process is anger, I guess is what they say. And so Tim kind of half exclaims, it's not going to bring him back if he grieves.
Yeah,
and
Tim has a lot of bad lines to end scenes in this episode, like your Tool Heaven bit earlier. So later on, we are at home, and Tim comes home. Or I guess the scene opens with like Jill threatening the boys' allowance because she needs help with the library fundraiser, and
she's working on sending out some flyers.
Yeah, yep. She should just go to Walmart and put them under, the.
Yeah, she obviously wasn't thinking.
Yeah, she wasn't thinking. Tim tells Jill, and Brad and Randy immediately are very unlikable.
They're awful.
Yeah, like this is terrible. This isn't even funny. People are laughing in the audience, but it's just like, what do they say? Brad and Randy are like, do we have to go to the funeral? And then Randy's like...
Right away, Randy says, I'm not going. He doesn't even say, we don't want to go. He says, I'm not going.
Yeah, it's like... And then they're like, you guys... They're very... It's probably the most unlikable we've ever seen the kids. It's just immediately... Just very selfish.
I definitely prefer brick-throwing Brad to this.
Yeah, they're like, we're not going. I'm not going. It's like, shut up.
And then they immediately change their tune when they realize the funeral's going to be on like a Tuesday on a
like
school day.
It's not... Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to do with that, but it makes the kids seem just terrible, like very awful.
They show more reverence for Howard the Fish dying, I think, than they did for Mr. Binford.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Tim tells Jill, and she kind of again, it's the same thing we just saw. Jill wants to talk about it. Tim doesn't. He's obviously deflecting, and he decides that he wants to take the boys to the Y to go play some hoops.
Did you see the Binford labeled duffel bag?
Yeah, it was cool. It
was cool. I guess it's for me. It symbolized something that it shows that, and we'll get this later on when they talk about like what Mr. Binford has actually done for Tim, even though we've never heard of it before. Shows that Binford is a part of every part of Tim's life, including his playing hoops. He's got Binford everywhere. He has those Binford T-shirts. I think we've seen his son wearing Binford shirts. It's a big part of his life. But he continues to ignore it and not grieve over it.
You're right, Jordan. You really hit the Binford nail on the head with that one. So Jill, again, like Tim's going to hoop. Jill wants to talk about it. This is where we learn a little bit about all of the great things that Binford has done that we've never seen. He gave Tim his first job. As a tool salesman. He loaned them money for their first house, and he was the first one at the hospital when all of the boys were born.
Well, that one is perhaps the most unbelievable one, I would say. And ever since then, he's just disappeared.
And yeah, I mean but I guess the idea is, he did all these things before the show started, and since then he's been a little bit more hands off. But
hands off.
It still hits them hard. And yeah, Tim just kind of, the boys are out in the car, and Tim leaves, and he says, this is where he delivers just the really iconic line. He's in tool heaven.
Next stop, Tool Heaven.
Next stop, Tool Heaven. Oh boy. And that's it.
So, yeah, that's the end of that scene. The end's definitely on a sour note, and Jill is left to grieve by herself. Later, the boys and Tim come home, and we learn that Tim and Brad beat Randy and Mark. So
I would have loved to see that footage. There's a lot of times on Home Improvement where they don't show you things that you really want to see. This was probably like ranks number one for me. I just really would have liked to have seen Tim drive into the hole against Mark. backing him down from the 3-point line.
I'd like to see like Tim just swatting Mark's shot. So bad.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when Sam and I used to play like Jason and Don in basketball, and we were like 10 and they were 14, and they would just kill us. Like, is this fun for you? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, well, you probably learned something in the process.
That's right. We got better as a result. And Randy's and Mark are going to be basketball superstars. Just you wait.
Yeah.
So Brad and his dad are entitled to a soda after winning, but Brad asks for a brewski. Does not go over well.
It doesn't go over as poorly as it should have, though.
Yeah, he just says, "How about a root brewski?" So
classic.
He's just not really taking too much in at this point. Brad is proud of his dad though, because he's taking this death like a man.
What is it like? Like, what is this? I just like
this is completely fake.
It's so this episode. We'll talk about it at the end, but like this scene is so like we've never seen Brad express any feelings like this. It's like I have difficulty even describing it. It's just like so bizarre.
The only thing I can really even think of, and this is I think was more of a Mark thing, is way back in season 1. I think it was episode 5 where the snake is there.
Yeah. And
they're like, men aren't afraid of snakes, and you don't get scared or whatever. That's the only thing I can think of.
Like, but like Brad just like he's just drinking a root beer. He's like, Dad, I'm so proud of you. You didn't cry you didn't cry when you sad. It's really cool how you don't ever show emotions. It's stupid to cry. Like, where is this?
Weird.
Where is this coming from? And what am I supposed to do with this?
It's not like Tim has ever said this to Brad.
No, where's Brad getting
that
this
we've
from?
seen? I don't know.
I think you would have thought home ec might have kind of softened Brad, but it seems like it's made him, even harder.
Hard to heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff doesn't get to Tim, like you said, except for when Randy calls him a goofball, and then he freaks out for a whole episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
yeah, that's the truth.
So he sees Wilson outside, and that's where we're going to head next. So outside, Wilson is aerating his lawn with special sandals, and let's hear what he has to say.
Let's.
Hey, Wilson.
Hi-ho, Tim.
What are you doing?
I'm aerating my lawn with my new steel-tipped aerator sandals.
You ever cry, Wilson?
Anytime I step on my foot with one of these silly sandals.
Yeah, I can understand that. No, seriously, do you ever cry?
Well, Tim, I have been known to weep on occasion.
Well, I'm not much in the tears department. I'm afraid Brad has grown up thinking that's the way it should be.
And that bothers you?
Kind of, yeah.
Does this have anything to do with Mr. Binford?
How'd you hear about that?
Well, Jill told me she needed somebody to talk to. She said you were out shooting hoops.
You know, Wilson, the trouble is, Binford and I were really, really close. And I seem like I'm the only person not crying about this.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. As long as I can remember, I've been like this. When my father died, I know I was real sad, but I don't ever remember crying.
Well, Tim, maybe crying isn't your outlet. You know, the shedding of tears is just one way that people mourn.
Oh?
Oh, yes. In parts of Mexico, the bereaved decorate the grave with smiling puppets, and then they eat chocolate coffins.
Melts in your mouth, but not in the ground.
And on the Solomon Islands, they hang the dead man's arms on his hut. And in feudal Japan, when a lord died, the Ronin samurai would show their loyalty by disemboweling themselves.
Talk about guts.
Point is, Tim, when you lose somebody who's close to you, you have to find a way to mourn. It's what enables you to accept the fact that person is really, truly gone.
Thanks, Wilson. That was real.
All right, so we see Wilson here. He's working on his lawn at night. That's when you aerate your lawn. You just do it at like 10 o'clock at night. And Tim goes out and asks Wilson if he ever cries, and Wilson does on occasion. A lot of things are happening here. So he's partially worried that Brad thinks that crying is a bad thing, but he also doesn't really know how to deal with this situation. Everyone else is crying and he is not, and he doesn't understand why. He's never been a crier. He didn't even cry when his dad passed away. He just remembers being sad. And Wilson says, maybe crying is not your outlet. And he goes on to describe death rituals around the world and how people grieve differently. And just in the way that Brad had to find a certain special way with his dad to be initiated, Tim has to find a certain special way to mourn. So we're going to find out later what that is. And what does he say at the end about being gone? It says, you have to find a way to mourn because it helps you accept the fact that the person is gone.
And then he disappears.
And then he disappears.
As mysteriously as he arrived in town, he leaves. He's gone. All right. Next scene, presumably, right after this conversation wherein Wilson disappears forever. No, just kidding. Until the next episode. Tim comes in and he apologizes to Jill. He described himself as being uncomfortable with this, quote, death thing, which I thought was, again, just really, I don't know, the poor writing here. Uncomfortable with this death thing. He talks about how it's just like more of the same. Like this guy, Binford was the greatest guy in the world, but when he died, the first thing I thought of was, I was worried about my job. Does that make me selfish? It's like there's like you said in the last scene, there's just a lot of different things going on. Like Tim is worried that he can't mourn. He's worried that he's selfish. He's worried that his son thinks emotions are a bad thing. And they just kind of talk about mourning and like that Tim needs to find a way, and it's sort of just Tim regurgitating what he just heard.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it just really... not a lot goes on here.
And I mean, they do the thing where Tim relays like his newfound knowledge from wisdom or from Wilson, and it's just like bungled per usual.
Did you say wisdom? You want me to bring that back?
this bit of wisdom. It's I don't know, and that they do all that confusing stuff, and then they throw in the same stuff that they usually do. So it's just not a great scene for me.
True that. Tool time. All right.
Time to mourn.
This is probably the only scene in the episode that I enjoyed. So, time to mourn. It's a bad morning, or I suppose now it's a good morning. So they're paying tribute to John Binford at the start of Tool time. And, it's a solemn thing.
Yeah, Tim gives kind of an eulogy.
Yeah, he sits on a bar stool, the camera zooms in, good camera work here, close up, really showing emotion. He sort of talks about his memories with Binford and, how much, what he did, what he meant for the show, kind of what he meant to Tim and everybody else. And, he brings out a tombstone shaped like a hammer that Tim apparently has done in the last day or something. I mean, it's a good looking tombstone. It's well done.
He got to work fast.
Yeah, and it's shaped like it's a special kind of hammer. It's a claw hammer.
It was the first Binford hammer design,
and it's made out of Michigan limestone.
Bam!
Imagine that.
Pure Michigan.
And Binford used to always say, Jordan, I've heard you say this before, that the right tool can fix anything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the right tool can't fix how Tim feels right now. He said it's a nice scene. It is a nice scene. Yeah, it's probably.
You know what we should do to end this nice scene?
Yeah.
Have some real tool time hijinks.
Yeah, it's a jarring transition here between Tim, the close up of Tim doing his usual good. Tim is good at acting.
He just is very authentic in these kind of scenes.
It's good when he does this. I like it when he acts a little bit more serious and kind of saddened. But then it's not going to last long because this is a sitcom, Jordan. So we have to have a 21 nail gun salute. So he has it set up, and there's something that's supposed to catch the nails. I didn't write down what it was, but the idea is
it's like a drop cloth,
some kind of a tarp or something. But very quickly, and this won't surprise listeners or anyone that's ever watched Home Improvement. Things go awry, and the salute kind of begins to sort of rotate, and the nails are just firing various parts of the set, and they are making their way towards the audience. And I wonder if there were more deaths beyond just John Binford in this episode, because they are really firing at that audience.
They are, and some people scatter from the audience, but other people, brave people, I would say, just kind of stay seated, and the show must go on.
Not all
them.
heroes wear capes, Jordan. Somewhere tool time hats.
Tool time hats, definitely. But yeah, and we do learn that Binford was 68 when he passed away, born in 1925, so he grew up during the Depression.
Yeah.
So, interesting, I guess. I don't know why.
Only a little bit interesting, just the slightest bit. Yeah. So final scene here. I mean, talk about a useless scene. I guess let's just talk about it. So, it's post-funeral. Brad is sitting on the couch reading, and he asks what you ask someone after they've been to the funeral. How was the funeral? How was it?
It was a joyous occasion.
Hey guys, good funeral? How was it? No.
Can I talk about how Brad is reading a book covered in like a paper sack?
Yeah, go ahead.
For some reason. Do you remember doing that in middle school? You used to have to do it for like your school books.
Book
but
covers.
It looks like, it looks like he did this for just like a normal book.
How do you know it's not a school textbook?
It seems too small. Seems much too small for that. Also, since when does Brad read unless he's trying to impress Jennifer Zdarsky?
I think that what happened is he was reading David Copperfield, and he kind of just got into it.
He got the reading bug.
Yeah, he got the reading bug. Hey, we've all had it. So Tim comes in, sits down on the couch next to Brad. It's revealed that Tim cried more than the widow, and that's because he had to pay for parking. And Brad's disappointed. Brad is disappointed in his father for crying. But don't worry, Jordan, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because the final line of the episode, and it's a really good lesson to teach your son, and it's just kind of after a nice, sad episode where you memorialize a man. Tim says, when I was crying at that funeral, I felt like a pathetic old woman. Roll credits, fade to black. It's like what? Like what did we just watch? Like what was the point of this episode? Like if at the end, like that's your closing message to your son and to your audience is like, yeah, I did learn how to mourn, but at the same time, I felt like a pathetic old woman. Like what?
I don't know what Elliot was going for.
Oh man,
it did not work on really any level.
Oh my gosh! And then there's a blooper where when they're falling between the squeegee and wherever they go on site later on, I think Tim falls down or something. So
yes,
and
Al pretends to knock him out.
Arrivederci, Binford.
Oh man,
Jordan, highs and lows.
Highs and lows.
Highs first.
Highs. Really, the only high that we talked about, besides the awesome tombstone that Tim made, was that scene where he does do another good job of playing the serious, authentic angle. When things have got him down or when it's a serious situation. But really, I would have preferred maybe a Pete poetic eulogy for Mr. Binford as well. He probably wasn't as close as Mr. Binford, but I guess they get paid for guest starring. You would think so. He's probably helped Pete out quite a bit too.
At least they got to get their gas money comped. I would hope.
At least, yeah. Man, I don't know. It's a really bad episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll jump in.
If we would have heard about Mr. Binford more than twice, and both of those times being bad interactions, would have been a little bit more impactful. But we did not, and it is executed very poorly on pretty much every level.
Yes.
It took our this episode has left me flabbergasted.
You're speechless. Okay, so highs, the scene with the scene where Tim zooms in on Tim and he's talking about Binford with reverence. That was nice. And another high was the reference of Tim and Brad playing Mark and Randy in Twos at the Y. Those were the two highs.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Lows were, I think when you get to the end of a bad episode, I think it's usually pretty clear what we thought the lows were. But yeah, the idea that Binford is just like this larger-than-life figure, this great friend to Tim, kind of father figure, mentor, loaned him the money for the house, first one at the hospital, like just this great guy when, we've never seen that, we've never heard that before. There's no reference to Mo. We didn't even know he was back on the show. Like it's okay to do something like this, but they needed to set up Binford better or have it be someone else because it just doesn't make sense. And maybe it makes more sense when you watch these episodes over the course of 3 years, but when you watch them as recently as we have, like we just like don't know anything about this guy, and like everyone is so sad. It just doesn't really add up.
I feel like Bill Brasky passed away, not Mr. Binford.
Yeah, definitely. What do you mean?
Everyone would be this sad if Bill Brasky passed away.
Obviously, in the sketches, they were always just really, really sad and really drunk. So, and also the stuff with like Brad and being proud of his dad for not crying and like showing emotion was just really, just kind of like I said earlier, pretty half baked. The scene at the end where like Tim is. He shows emotion and then he says he feels like an old woman, like is pathetic. It's just like a really mixed message to Brad. Just like those are like the two main things going on. Neither one of them is executed well. Neither one of them really makes a lot of sense. Is logical. I didn't like the scene where Brad and Randy find out Binford's dead and then just immediately are like, "We're not going to the funeral. Do we have to go to the funeral?" Just doesn't paint the boys in a very flattering light. There were very few jokes in this episode that I thought were funny. In general, just not a very good one.
I think I might go watch this again afterwards. It's so fun.
Yeah, so fun. You got to watch it. I heard you have to watch it 3 times for it to really sink in. So.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's Arrivederci Binford. Jordan, what's next? You want to head to Sean's? We can't talk. You want to head to Sean's social media corner?
Yeah, let's visit Sean in the social media corner. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so in a variety of different ways, including going to our website directly, thehomanpodcast.com. We have a Twitter handle, and Adam is in charge of that. He's tweeting funny things. He's interacting with you, and that's at @HomanPodcast. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/HomanPodcast. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do that in a variety of ways as well. We'd love a review on iTunes. If you can go ahead and do that, that would be great. It's how people find us. And if you want to donate money to us on Patreon, there's things available like sweet Homan Podcast stickers.
They're so sweet.
There's nothing sweeter. And you can do that at patreon.com/Homan Podcast.
Yeah, those stickers, get them while they're available because they are flying off the shelves. Promo code No Drama. Is that still in play, Jordan?
I think it was No Drama 20. I don't know, but there's only one way to find out.
There's a promo code that you can get 20% off a $2 sticker, so you're really only paying like $1.80 at that point. So,
or you can donate to us.
Yeah, you can also donate to us. That would actually be cooler. On Twitter, posted a poll. Tepid response. Which do you prefer? 9 total votes, and this is related to the iconic dinner scene last week. Which do you prefer? 11% said pork, 12% said Shirley Temple, 33% said beef, 44% said chicken. Not my best.
I can't imagine why there was a tepid response to that.
It's weird. It's weird how when the polls aren't good, people just don't really vote in them. But continue to follow us on Twitter. I'll do better with the polls, or maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm just out here doing the best I can. Support the show. Reach out to us. Interact with us. Let's have a ball. Right.
Let's. And with that, we're going to move on to this week's question of the week. All right, Adam. After scouring a couple of terrible articles about
too much deliberation, took way too long.
I found a couple articles that were 50 questions to ask your crush.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you because you are a crush of mine.
You crushing, bro?
Yeah, I'm crushing. There's no good questions on there, so instead, I'm gonna go back to the episode title, which is "Arrivederci, Binford."
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, what's do you have any foreign language experience? Do you speak another language?
Do I have any foreign language experience? Well, according to my resume, I
what does your CV say?
I am proficient in Spanish. Not really. No, I do feel like it's kind of a blind spot. I took high school Spanish for a couple of years, as I think many people do, but I didn't have to take anything in college. So the only studies I've really done are Spanish. Again, I think if you're playing the Homan Podcast drinking game, you would probably take a drink because I do have to reference the summer I taught abroad in Brazil. Picked up a little bit of Portuguese, enough to get around.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, I think like listeners should take a drink anytime you answer a question by saying something about Disney. Anytime I answer a question by saying something about teaching abroad. But no.
And every time we mention the Homan Podcast, our Home Improvement logo.
Yeah, for sure. Or moving forward, anytime we mention our business cards. No. I don't. Just a little bit of Spanish, but no. I wish that I did. I think it would be a cool. I've often thought about trying to get back and learn a little bit more Spanish, so that my resume did not just kind of flat out
Lie.
Well, exaggerate, I guess is a better word. But no, Jordan,
embellish.
Unfortunately, I don't. Do you?
I probably speak a little bit more Spanish than you. I was actually
Based
surprised.
off what?
Well, I mean, based on what you just said, I was a little surprised when I went to Costa Rica. I could interact a little bit.
Yeah, I bet you were really
more.
great down there. Or I bet those Costa Ricans were really impressed by your level of Spanish.
Oh yeah, they were like, man, he sounds like a native speaker.
I hope you ordered all of your meals in Spanish and stuff. I heard places really like that.
No, a lot of people. We were in a big tourist area, so most people did speak English. But I have always been better at reading it than actually hearing it. So it was mostly reading it that worked out pretty well. But I've wanted also to brush up back on that again. But it's just time and effort. And am I actually going to use it?
It's hard to say, Jordan. It's hard to say.
I want to learn German because I have German in my ancestry.
That seems probably kind of a waste of time, to be honest. But however you want to spend your time is up to you. But
and right now it's in Home Improvement Podcast.
Yeah, so. Jordan, really good question. Definitely worth the wait. Next week we're covering Crazy for You, which is a Halloween episode. So don't be surprised if Count Dracula makes a return. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, thank goodness!
Drac is back, baby.
He comes on once every 25 episodes.
It's worth it too. Worth the wait. He's probably even better than Richard Karn on the show. Is when we get Drac.
Oh,
in
be
the
careful.
studio. Yeah, I gotta be careful.
Be careful.
Sorry, Richard. I know you're not listening. All right. Well, Jordan, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Listeners, thank you for joining us, and I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody.